You got the degree, you got the job, you negotiated the salary, and somewhere between the first paycheck and the 10th year, you started to feel it. Not loudly, not dramatically, just a quiet, persistent question that visits you on Sunday evenings. Is this it? You are not lazy. You are not ungrateful. You are not the problem. The structure is the problem, and the structure was built deliberately so that you would never ask that question too loudly. Today, we ask it. Here is what no one told you at graduation. A salary is not a reward. A salary is an agreement. And like every agreement, the party that wrote the terms benefits most. When a company offers you a salary, they are not being generous. They are making a calculation. Whatever value you will produce for us, we will give you a fraction of it on a schedule so that you remain available to produce more. That is not compensation. That is a containment strategy. Think about what a salary actually does to a human being. It makes you predictable. You know when money arrives, so you build your life around that date. It makes you dependent. Miss 1 month, and the architecture of your entire life trembles. It makes you available because you cannot afford not to be. And over time, it makes you compliant, not because you are weak, but because the system was engineered with precision to produce exactly that outcome. This is not conspiracy. This is a design. And the oldest book in the world saw it coming. Proverbs 22 verse 7. The rich rule over the poor, and the borrower is servant to the lender. Read that again, not quickly. Let it land. The borrower is servant to the lender. Now understand what a salary does to most people. It does not make them savers. It makes them spenders. Because the salary arrives, and before it settles, the mortgage is due. The car payment is due. The school fees are due. The subscriptions, the insurance, the obligations. The salary does not belong to you the moment it arrives. It belongs to every institution you made commitments to before it came, which means you are not earning money. You are servicing debt. And the man servicing debt is not free. But that is only the surface of what Scripture understood. Ecclesiastes 5, verse 12. The sleep of a laboring man is sweet, whether he eats little or much. But the abundance of the rich will not allow him to sleep. Solomon, the wealthiest man in recorded history, was not romanticizing poverty here. He was making a structural observation. The laboring man sleeps well because his anxiety is simple. Work tomorrow, get paid, survive. But the man of wealth carries a different burden and a different opportunity. He is not trading time for money. He is managing assets, systems, and positions. His mind does not rest because it is always calculating, not out of fear, but out of stewardship. Solomon understood something that modern financial culture has buried. There are two economies running simultaneously in every society: the economy of labor and the economy of ownership. And these two economies do not produce the same outcomes. Not in a generation, not in a lifetime, not ever. Let us go to history, not ancient history, recent history. The salaried class as we know it is a relatively modern invention. Before the Industrial Revolution, most people were not employees. They were tradespeople, farmers, craftsmen, and merchants. They owned their tools. They owned their outputs. They set their prices. They were not wealthy, but they understood a fundamental principle. What you produce should belong to you. Then came the factory. And with the factory came a new arrangement. You surrender your time, your skill, and your output to someone else's enterprise. In exchange, you receive a fixed payment. The factory owner keeps the surplus. The worker keeps the wage. And that arrangement, which began in the mills of England, became the global default. It became so dominant, so normalized, that today, the most educated people in the world consider it an achievement. A good salary, a stable job, a gold standard pension. Old money families never bought into this arrangement, not because they were lucky, but because they understood something the factory model was designed to obscure. The employee creates the wealth. The owner captures it. The Rothschilds did not build a banking dynasty by working for banks. The Rockefellers did not become Rockefellers by collecting salaries. Every old money family that sustained wealth across generations did so through one mechanism and one mechanism only: ownership of land, of business, of capital, of equity. Not the performance of labor, but the possession of assets that perform while they sleep. Now let us return to Scripture, because the Bible did not just warn us. It gave us the blueprint. Genesis 41. Pharaoh has a dream. 7 fat cows devoured by 7 thin cows. He calls every magician, every wise man in Egypt. None can interpret it. Then he calls Joseph. And Joseph does something that no financial curriculum teaches. He does not just interpret the dream. He immediately converts the interpretation into an economic strategy. He tells Pharaoh, 7 years of abundance are coming, followed by 7 years of famine. And here is what you must do. He says, appoint a competent man, someone who is discerning and wise. Implement a 20% tax on all agricultural production during the abundance years. Store it, manage it, position it, so that when the famine comes, Egypt holds the supply. Now stop. Read what Joseph built. He did not tell Pharaoh to work harder. He did not say, encourage the farmers to be more productive. He read the cycle. He identified the coming scarcity, and he positioned assets grain ahead of the demand curve. When the famine arrived, every nation came to Egypt, not because Egypt worked harder than everyone else, but because Egypt held what everyone else needed. This is not a Sunday school story. This is a capital deployment strategy. Joseph understood that wealth is not built during abundance. Wealth is built by those who use abundance to prepare for scarcity. And when the scarcity comes, they do not panic. They supply. That is the Joseph principle. And your salary, your abundance, is either being positioned like Joseph or consumed like the nations that came begging. Let us be precise about what the salary trap actually looks like in your life. It is not dramatic. It does not announce itself. It works like this. Year 1, you get the job. The salary feels like freedom. You upgrade your lifestyle. Year 3, the lifestyle has expanded to meet the salary. There is nothing left over. Year 5, you get a raise. The lifestyle expands again. The surplus disappears again. Year 10, you are earning significantly more than you were at year 1, and you have almost nothing to show for it in assets. This is not a personal failure. This is a mechanism. It has a name: lifestyle inflation, hedonic adaptation. Call it what you want. The result is always the same. The salary grows, and the dependency on the salary grows with it. You become more expensive to sustain, which means you become less capable of leaving. The cage grows with you. And here is the cruelest part. The skills you develop to earn a higher salary are not the same skills required to build wealth. Being excellent at your job is not a wealth strategy. It is a salary optimization strategy. And optimizing a trap is not the same as escaping one. So what is the alternative? Not quitting your job, not gambling on a business idea, not following the loudest voice on the internet telling you to buy a course and scale to 6 figures. The alternative is a posture shift. It is a change in how you see your salary, because your salary right now is not your enemy. It is your first asset, if you treat it correctly. Old money did not despise earned income. They used it as fuel. They directed earned income toward ownership. They bought land. They acquired equity. They funded enterprises. They used what they earned to purchase things that produced without them. This is the distinction that changes everything. Active income produces while you work. Passive income produces while you sleep. The wealthy are not necessarily working harder than you. They have simply engineered a larger portion of their income to come from the second category, and that engineering begins not with a windfall, but with a decision to see your salary not as a destination, but as raw material, as capital waiting to be deployed. The question is not, how do I earn more? The question is, where does what I earn go next? Because money in motion directed by strategy becomes wealth. Money consumed by lifestyle, regardless of the amount, becomes nothing. You were not built to survive pay cycles. Scripture never described the faithful steward as someone who worked hard and collected wages. The parable of the talents, Matthew 25, describes a master who distributed capital and expected his servants to deploy it, not spend it, not protect it by burying it. Deploy it. The servant who buried his talent, who played it safe, who maintained instead of multiplied, was the one the master rebuked, not the one who took risk, not the one who built, the one who stood still. And today, millions of intelligent, hard-working, faithful people are burying their talent, not in the ground, in a lifestyle, in a salary cycle that begins and ends without ever building anything that outlasts them. This channel exists for one reason: to teach you what the old money families understood, what Joseph demonstrated in Pharaoh's Egypt. The hand of the diligent will rule, but the slothful will be put to forced labor. Proverbs 12:24. Not the lazy, the slothful, those who are busy, but not building. You are not lazy, but the question is whether you are building, because the salary is not the destination. It is the starting material, and what you build with it is entirely up to you. If this video reached something in you, something you have felt but never had language for, then you are exactly who this channel was built for. The next video goes deeper. We will show you what Joseph's economic system actually looked like step by step, and how a modern professional applies it right now. Subscribe and come prepared.